and some of the developments that we've been able to contribute to over the past 24, 36 hours. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Director Roush. If you would do me a favor, those of you participating in this availability, if you'll mute your microphone if you're not the one speaking, that'll certainly help. And if you'd like to ask a question, feel free to open your microphone and do so at that time. Thanks so much for your grace and for your patience. These are weird circumstances that we find ourselves in as an agency culturally right now, and we appreciate your patience. Director?
Thanks, Josh. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon, this morning. I'm happy to take any of your questions at this time.
This is Samantha Max with Nashville Public Radio. Can you talk about how Warner created such a large explosion and how he could have acquired all the necessary materials without tipping off law enforcement?
Yes, Samantha, thanks for the question. I can tell you that is information that's really more of a focus of the ATF as we work with them and the FBI in this investigation. They're working on those details at this time, and so I really can't give you any specifics on that because that's more of what ATF's role is in this investigation.
Hi, this is Natasha Chen with CNN.
Yeah, go ahead, Natasha.
This individual, if he had come up on your radar at all with TBI prior to this incident.
Yeah, thank you, Natasha. And that question was asked yesterday or last evening as well in the news briefing that we had, and he was not on our radar. He was not someone that was identified as a person of interest for the Bureau, and so we were not familiar with this individual until this incident.
Director, this is Holly Meyer with the Tennessean.
Go ahead, Holly.
I wanted to find out, can you share what TBI is doing to contribute to figuring out the motive of this crime?
Yeah, absolutely, Holly. The question is about what TBI's role is in helping and contributing to determining motive. Our agents are working very closely with the FBI and the ATF, as well as with Metro Police Department, Metro Davidson Police. We're all taking pieces of the puzzle, working to determine what the motivation was for this individual, and basically what's happening is we're all going and doing interviews with various subjects that either knew the individual specifically or neighbors. Some of that is taking place. Our agents specifically are questioning neighbors and around family members, trying to get some history as best we can. And so that's really the role that we are doing in terms of the motive side is interviews to assist the FBI in helping them in trying to determine what it is that caused this individual to do this.
Hi, this is Nikita Dennis with WBBJ in Jackson, Tennessee. Do we now know the explosive device that Warner used to cause the bomb?
Okay, it was faint, but I think what I heard was, do we know what the device was or what was used? We do not at this time. So where we're at on that right now is evidence has been sent to Quantico, and the FBI is analyzing that evidence as it's been going on for since the first pieces of evidence have been collected. So they're analyzing that evidence to determine what the objects, the substances that were used in for the explosion.
This is Natasha again with CNN. Sorry, I forgot to ask if you can speak to whether he had his dog with him at the explosion site and whether the dog perished.
Yeah, Natasha, that we don't know yet. That's still information that we're trying to determine all of that detail at this point.
This is Rachel from the Tennessean. I'm wondering if you can kind of paint a picture of how wide the fireball spread. I know that lots of buildings and several blocks were affected, but just the videos show it almost taking up a whole block. Is there a way you can kind of give us a measurement of how far the explosion itself actually reached?
Yeah, thanks, Natasha. In terms of the size of the fireball, I've seen the same footage that everyone has seen, and I don't know that I can estimate that, other than to tell you that it was quite a swath. I have seen, I've been on site. The several buildings, obviously for that entire block, are charred. In terms of the size, I couldn't even start to estimate. I can just tell you it was obviously very devastating. That block especially, those buildings there, all very charred in terms of the impact of the explosion.
Hi there, this is Mark Morales with CNN. How you doing? I was hoping to ask about the VIN number of the vehicle. How were you guys able to determine it? How were you able to find it? And how were you able to figure out the vehicle and its origins and how he was able to use that car?
Yeah, thank you. The question was about the VIN number on the vehicle and how we were able to determine, the information regarding that vehicle. We work very closely, again, on site with the Tennessee Highway Patrol and with FBI and ATF, trying to determine the identification of that vehicle. There were various pieces that basically, as a puzzle was being put together, that was part of the puzzle, is putting together the pieces of trying to read a VIN number or some other identifier that would give us what we needed. There was contact, obviously, with the manufacturer to discuss where that information would be that we could find, and so that was all part of that. There, a big piece of that was obviously information that we received from the public, and so that also played into this. But there were a number of techniques that were being utilized. Our forensic scientists were on scene. They were utilizing techniques that we use on getting serial numbers off of firearms, utilizing chemicals to do so. And so they were doing that. We did some infrared technology, video processing. And so there was a number of techniques that were being utilized. Fortunately, another piece was found that the numbers were clearer on. THP then was able to use that. And of course, this is something they do frequently in crash scenes. And so they were able to take that and their CID, their criminal investigators, were able to assist in positively identifying that vehicle.
This is Joshua Cole with News 4 Nashville. I know that we've talked, or we learned a little bit about his prior one charge of marijuana, but anything else about his history with him working in IT or the 5G paranoia that you could speak to?
Yeah, so at this point, the criminal history is all that we're able to provide. We're not able to go into any of that other detail at this time. Those are all pieces of the ongoing interviews and investigation that we continue to work on.
Hello, this is Kyle with WZTV in Nashville. Do we know anything about the father's time at AT&T? Anything that would cause Warner to want to target AT&T?
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. In terms of his father, I think it's well known now that everyone knows that his father did work for AT&T. That detail of that is still being followed up on. Interviews are still being conducted to determine, if that plays in any whatsoever into the motive. At this point, it's all speculation.
Director Roush, this is Hannah McDonald from News Channel 5. I think one of the most impressive things is how quick the police work was done to make that match We heard that there were 500 tips after day one. Can you speak to what stood out about this individual and what led police to really try to make this match happen?
Yeah, Hannah, thanks. So in terms of, first and foremost, the calls that came in from the public were absolutely key to the identification, at least with a name of a direction for the investigation to take. At that point, then it was attempting to take the evidence that we had, and that's what took place. So we had some tissue at the crime scene. That tissue was then provided to both the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation for our forensic scientists to process, as well as to the lab in Quantico with the FBI. Then there were additional items of evidence that were collected because we then had a name to compare when we did the DNA analysis. And so we were able to go to locations to collect additional forensic evidence to test for DNA. That DNA evidence was then matched, compared, and it was matched by our forensic scientists. And it was a strong effort. They were focused solely on this case, and were able to do an excellent job of making that match. And so it was. I understand that it is quite impressive. It is to me, and it is to our team. We're very proud of the work that was done by our team to make that match so quickly. But it was, they followed their science. They did everything that we would normally do in conducting a DNA match. The great news was we had something to compare, and that's how this was made and done so quickly.
Was the tip that someone recognized the RV? What made that tip stand out so much that Anthony Warner was the direction authorities went in?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first part of that question.
What was so strong about the tip about Anthony Warner?
So, without going into too much detail, I think when the tip came in with his identification, it led investigators to dig deep into that, what we could find, and there were some obvious things that we've seen now, the pictures that you have seen, to be able to make some connections there.
Last question, please.
Can I do? Sorry, this is Natasha with CNN. A couple of follow-ups. One about his mother, and the other about the box truck in Lebanon. So first, about Mr. Warner's mother. In what capacity has she been helping you with your investigation? We understand it might have been her DNA that helped confirm his identity, and I know she's sued him in the past. As far as the box truck goes, in what way was the recording similar to this one? And is that case being looked at in conjunction with this or completely separately?
Yeah, thank you. So Natasha, so first on the mother, she has been cooperative with investigators, and that's about as far as I can go on that piece. I can just tell you she's been cooperative. In terms of TBI's comparison on the DNA, we did not do familial DNA. So what we did was comparative of the two, one from the scene, the evidence we had from the scene, and then the evidence we collected from a vehicle. We collected gloves and a hat from a vehicle that was owned by the subject. And so that's how our comparison was done. In terms of the second part of your question, I'm sorry, let me, I forgot the second part of it.
Oh, it's all right. It was about the box truck in Lebanon yesterday. It was pulled over because of.
Right. Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes. So the box truck. In terms of that was the information that was relayed, and that was not, TBI was not involved in that. That was Highway Patrol. I think Rutherford County Sheriff's Office was involved in that. I know ATF was involved in that. So yes, obviously that is being reviewed in light of the incident. However, I can tell you from the conversations from last night and this morning, there is no connection other than the individual taking advantage of the situation we are trying to determine if the recording was similar or the same recording. Right. Thank you all so much.
And that is going to do it for us at this point. Again, thank you so much for understanding and for having a bit of grace with us. We realize this is not the typical kind of forum that we would normally do this type of an availability, but the director's on a tight schedule and we wanted to provide something to you. If you have any follow-up questions for our team at TBI, you can send us an email to tbi.media@tn.gov. With that, we'll conclude the call. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a great day.